Hello, and a very warm welcome to one and all present here. We are back again with one of a kind series of masterclasses today from India. This is Laksh Mittal, your host for the day, joining from India, and I'm very excited to bring you today's masterclass on NFTs. Our vision at Recurum is pretty simple. It is to bring and onboard a million of enthusiastic, Web3 professionals and users to the blockchain revolution. And that is where we come to you with the second series, deeping dive into Web3. Accordingly, as you guys already know, the world is moving towards a very interconnected system with lots of innovation and building of new products coming around from various industries who are intertingling with each other and connecting their ecosystems to bring a viable product for the societies. And do you know who's at the front? Blockchain. Web3 is all about building communities through the power of decentralization, blockchain, and the secret sauce. You. Yeah, you. And this is the world around me where I want you to take a deep dive into Web3. But before we get started with today's masterclass, let me tell you of what we do here at Recurum and how we help you to onboard this ship that we are sailing in the blockchain revolution. Eh, today's blockchain world is the new internet. Web3 is basically a new internet in which it is meant for anyone and everyone who wishes to be a part of a transparent, efficient, and a free system. Okay, and this is where Recurum also steps in. Recurum helps Web3 companies hire top talent from events of all kinds, offline, hybrid, Twitter Spaces, YouTube Lives, even these events. So what are you waiting for? We have almost like a plethora of job opportunities, internships, and job openings from various companies that have come to hire at this particular event. With that, we also provide you with NFT certificates. Okay, we also provide you with NFT certificates. So if you want to claim those, you gotta have to join the Recurum app, hop onto the chat room, connect your wallet, and have a chance to take back a small memory from today's event. With that, let me tell you today's speakers are young professionals, very enthusiastic, were hustling and bootstrapping their company from scratch to the global level without giving a very detailed and very enthusiastic overview about what they do. Let me give them the stage to tell you guys about what they do. Let's welcome today's speakers, Fabian and Daniel.
Yeah, Danny, you want to go first?
Hey, hi Daniel, hi Fabian.
Hi,
I hope you guys are going
Hi,
good.
thank you for having us.
we're good.
We're good.
Right, awesome. I am very excited to have both of you guys here. Okay, so guys, today we are here with Blitzcraft HQ. Okay, these guys are working in NFTs. They're working with cryptocurrencies, with exchanges, and various other products. So without further ado, let's go with Daniel first. And Daniel, why don't you give us an introduction about what you do, who you are, and what's Blitzcraft?
Awesome. So I started Blitzcraft back in June 14th, 2022, and so I'm a full stack developer by I used to be a full stack developer at least, and engineer by used to be an engineer, and I got into the analytics space about a little more than a year ago. So I was doing B2B analytics in the Web2 space for enterprise companies, and that's when I happened to meet the co-founder of Guardian Link, Arjun Reddy. He's a CTO, so we had to sit down with him,
Okay,
and he was telling us about the NFT space and how
Daniel,
analytics tools. Yeah,
just to stop you there, can you
yeah,
just check your mic again? We just need to just have that
yeah,
background noise cut off.
yeah.
Can you just
One
check
second.
that once?
Is this better?
Can you try again?
Yeah, is this better?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, very good. Go ahead.
Awesome. So as I was saying, we had a sit down with the co-founder of Guardian Link, Arjun Reddy, and he was telling us about the NFT space and how it's booming. There's a lot of VCs showing interest, And one of the things that he pointed us towards was that there was no good NFT analytics tools out there. There were tools that were doing a mediocre job, but there was still a lot of
Okay.
innovation to be done in that space. And so I met Fabian was my junior at college. So I talked to him. He was like my go-to tech guy. So the two of us we started NFT Economy actually. So we started Blitzcraft as NFT Economy, and we rebranded ourselves
Okay.
just last week. So that's been our journey so far.
So trying to understand what was NFT economy and how did it turn to Blitzcraft?
So when we first started off, we thought we were primarily looking at serving NFT collectors alone. And so we thought, let's just build a dashboard that tracks a lot of NFTs, the top NFTs at least. And this way, collectors who want to invest in NFTs can come look at market statistics, community metrics, stuff like that. And then very soon I realized that, okay, this is a $5 billion industry, at least in India right now. And there's
Okay.
a huge amount of scope. So we were doing some serious engineering and we thought, why not apply the same principles to the Web3 industry as a whole? So we wanted to rebrand
Okay.
ourselves in such a way that we break out of that. How do I put it? That we were we were doing NFT analytics, and we wanted to break out of it and become a blockchain analytics platform instead. So we came up with the name Blitzcraft,
Okay.
Blitz for lightning, craft because a lot of NFTs had to do with art, and we were crafting products per se. So Blitzcraft HQ. So that way, that's how the new domain came to be, blitzcrafthq.com. So
Okay.
that's how we rebranded.
Okay. Okay. Thanks for that. Daniel, we have Fabian also here today. He's also the co-founder here at Blitzcraft's HU. So Fabian, let's go with who you are, what you do. Let's have a small intro around your background, how you came into NFT economy, and how has the journey been.
Yeah, sure. Um, so my journey with engineering and technology goes way back to my college end, and back then we had this tech club, tech community that Daniel and I we co-ventured into, and this was our experience with all building a lot of projects in different domains in IoT in general full
Okay.
stack engineering and a lot of things. These were all Web 2 times. Back then we didn't have all these Web 3 hypes, right? And so back then, after that, I slowly started venturing into a few services of my own. I happened to
Okay.
found another services startup, and that was going good for a time. And I started looking at all these new things coming up. Right, that's the time when back in 2020 to 20, a lot of Web3 hackathons came into existence, and it sort of attracted
Okay.
me. You can say that I've had a few friends who invited me to one of these hackathons, so that's my entry into Web3.
Was
And
it
this
Daniel? Was
was
it Daniel who invited you?
no, that wasn't Daniel. So this was so like I told, since I had this tech community going on, we happened to meet with a lot of college students from various different across India actually. So that's something you always get out of community, right? So
Okay.
that was there.
Correct.
And so in one of these Web3 hackathons, I happened to try out a lot of different Web3 integrations. It could be,
Okay.
authorization and Web3 dApps and a lot of things. This was the time when I happened to work with Daniel on one of his older startups, and I was the principal software engineer over there, and it went
Okay.
good. And we happened to build a quite extensive product that slowly ventured us into NFT economy, and hence Danny covered the story of how we became Blitzcraft today. So today I am
No,
the
definitely,
chief
yeah.
technology officer at Blitzcraft HQ. Yep.
Definitely, that's very good. Where I see young professionals like me. Okay, well, when we start from college, exploring things here and there. Okay, trying to see what works out, what doesn't work out, and then we just click on to something that we think might work out, and that stays for a while. So yeah, I think I
Yeah.
guess blockchain or crypto as a concept as well has stayed with almost all three of us, because right here we're discussing all of these things, right? So yes, definitely. Um, it's great to see that all like this is what I have seen basically in the last maybe year or so. Until like before that, what I knew of crypto was that people in India usually went to or somewhere interacted with blockchain or crypto just to make money. Okay, there was nothing related to building things or venturing into making something innovative. What do you guys think about that? Like, let's go with Daniel.
Could you repeat the last part of your question?
See, it's basically like, see, have you seen a change in the dynamic in India where people now currently are trying to build projects, build innovative solutions, where a year or like a 2 year back story was just to basically earn money out of crypto.
I would say definitely there's been a change because we recently even like came up we've been going to a lot of Web3 meetups, and one of the changes that we noticed was that the people who've been building if even like back in the day with the people who've been building for like years now are people who have been really soaked in this industry, and somehow they were
Okay,
all doing something related to crypto for the most part. And but then in 2020 2021 is when Facebook really started pushing for like the whole metaverse and the NFT angle. And then Twitter came along, Reddit came along, and these guys all said, okay, we're all going to do NFTs now. And so the minute that hype came in, I would say a lot of people started taking notice, especially like younger people. So we had people
correct,
from yeah, notable universities like SRM and places, BIT, who were like coming in and they're like, oh, okay, so there's a huge amount of hype here. Let's get into it. And so a lot of these meetups had a lot of engineers who were like trying to build stuff in the Web3 space. And I would say, yeah, for a couple of months at least during the beginning of the hype phase, a lot of people are trying to copy each other. A lot of NFT marketplaces were popping up. There was no USP. But then there were also companies that were doing some really solid work in terms of building stuff that didn't exist before. And
correct,
that's basically when we got in as well. And we thought, okay, what can we do that is still a niche and hasn't been exploited before? And there's not much competition. And so that I would say definitely yes. There has been a lot of
correct.
innovation.
So basically, see, this is what I agree to you on that. Like, I have been to meetups recently as well, and this is what I also feel like. Even a first year candidate who has just entered college, or people who have not even entered college, I've seen class 11th grade people, 12th grade people are trying to explore blockchain, explore what's Bitcoin, what's Ethereum, what are these NFTs, and they don't understand maybe the whole technology behind it, the whole concept behind it, but they're wanting to explore more, come to regular meetups. You won't even believe, there is this one guy I met. He's almost 40, 45 years old. Okay, he left all his work behind just to enter the blockchain space, and now he's wanting to become a community manager somewhere. So you see that there are people who have just tried to jump off one train to another as well, just to explore what's coming ahead in the future, correct? But today, let's say we are talking about that everything can be NFT. That is what the team of Blitzcraft has brought for us today. So just going with the statement itself, everything can be NFT. Okay, what do you think, Fabian? If you had to tell this to let's take like a person to explain it in a more simpler tone, a simpler understanding. Okay, how would you explain to them what is an NFT and how anything can be an NFT?
Okay, hope I'm audible. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, we've seen all the dawn and dusks of this NFT hype wagon,
Okay,
and to start off with NFTs, okay, the word non-fungible, right? We have this word non-fungible. So before non-fungible, what does even fungible means? We've seen the advent of Bitcoin going now and there. So
okay,
if I take a Bitcoin and I give it to Danny, I'm gonna say the Bitcoin is fungible. So that means that if I get a new Bitcoin and give it to Danny and get back the old Bitcoin, the other Bitcoin, there's no difference in it. So even if we swap Bitcoins with each other, these aren't unique to each of them. So this is something that people call fungible, right? And after that, you let's take another example. You've got the trading card, a typical classic NFT example. So let's say Danny
the
owns a
basketball
very rare,
NBA ones or the
yeah,
Pokemon cards, like
exactly.
that. Okay,
One of your Pokemon cards or even
yeah,
your NBA, a very good example. So if I decide to give Danny this particular collectible, uh, this is very unique. And if I can have multiple copies of the same collectible, but for me, this collectible that was owned by me has a certain value, a unique value that cannot be apprehended by any means. And this is basically non-fungible and non-fungible tokens, again NFTs. This is nothing but taking this entire aspect of having this unique existence and putting it on the blockchain. So
okay,
essentially NFTs are cryptographical assets that exist on the blockchain. And
okay,
why blockchain? blockchain has been there for almost 20 years now. People are talking about blockchain now, and there's a reason behind it. So
Okay.
blockchain in its essential core had certain features in it. So it could be immutability, transparency, and a few others. I can talk about blockchain further on, but yeah, it could become very technical. So people
No,
saw
why
that
not? We
these.
can go ahead with that. We can try, like, let's
Mm,
go a
mm, mm,
little,
mm.
let's deep dive a
Mm, mm,
little.
mm, mm,
Let's go
mm.
technically, but let's
Yeah.
not
So
go. Yeah.
yeah, sure. So you've got this decentralized blockchains and distributed peer-to-peer network going on around the globe. And this was envisioned by Bitcoin's creator Satoshi Nakamoto, and the founder of Ethereum. He thought that, yeah, Vitalik. He thought that this can be used better to even build something on top of this decentralized blockchain network. And that's when slowly smart contracts and a few other technologies came into existence, and people actually saw the potential of how blockchain's features can be apprehended to real life problems. And one
Okay.
major problems would be, having some sort of a proof of existence anywhere. So we trust banks, we trust centralized organizations. We have all Paytm, we have all these financial institutions. But if you think about it, if today the State Bank of India goes down, we know how many of us have suffered to go take money out of our own ATM cards. So this
You
problem
can
has
check that with
been.
Lebanon. I guess that already happened in the country of Lebanon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Even last month, I think even a few months back, I faced this problem myself. I was not able to take my own money out of my own bank. I went to my. So
Exactly.
yeah. So this problem is very common, and not just this financial problem. There's a lot of problems when it comes to a centralized organization, and how uh, this problem can effectively be solved by applying blockchain technology to this. And that's when people thought, uh, why not tokenize things? Why not give them a meaning on the blockchain? And that's one way to see this. That's one perspective of how people thought NFTs can
Okay.
change a proof of ownership. So back, there have been a lot of hype on NFTs, and this is something. So basically, NFTs came into existence, right? And after that, we have all these trading cards and all these fancy board API club and things like that. And slowly, it started. People started looking at the utility behind how this can be actually useful. Uh,
Okay.
so actually, I was talking to Daniel about this. So, Danny, would you like to talk about Board API Club and how we slowly graduated from being a hype driven market to a utility driven market?
Yeah, why not?
Sure.
Dan, go ahead with that.
Sure. So with I would say with cryptocurrencies especially, the value is inherent. For example, if I gave you one Bitcoin, you and I would agree that the value of one single Bitcoin is X amount of dollars or whatever. With NFTs
Okay.
now it's different. I can't just give you an NFT and be like, hey, this NFT is worth $1,000 to me, so it's automatically worth $1,000 to you. You can disagree, and we'd never reach an agreement, right? So NFTs are different from crypto. NFTs don't have inherent value. NFTs have to represent something in the real world, or they have to give you some sort of a utility in order for it to have value. So
Okay.
back when NFTs got into like the whole hype market back in 2021, people are just buying left, right. They're just buying and selling pictures of apes or dogs or kittens or basically any piece of art was sold off as an NFT. I'm not talking about actual art, but I'm talking about digital art, right? Just random photographs are being bought and sold. And the problem with that is that a lot of people believed that it had inherent value, and so they were buying it and selling it. And when the bubble burst, and when people realized that okay, NFTs don't actually have any value, I hold it, but I'm not able to do anything with it rather other than reselling it for a higher price. And then a lot of people stopped buying it. And so people who are holding really high priced NFTs realize that what they were holding is essentially just a GIF or a JPEG, and it doesn't actually have any value. So the utility based market started coming
Okay.
in. That's when the utilities started coming in. So there are companies that mint tickets as NFTs. So that way you're actually paying for the NFT as a ticket. but the actual NFT itself has value because it gives you access to say an event or to some program that you can go to, right? For example, even if you
Okay.
took Bored Ape, right? If you hold a Bored Ape, you have access to the virtual store. You get airdrops, you get access to their Discord server. So there's actually utility tied to the Bored Apes themselves, and what even metaverse advertising for that matter. So one of the interesting things that Fabian and I came across about I think 3 months ago was we went to this metaverse, Voxelverse, and we were like just floating around. And one of the things we realized that we saw inside the metaverse was this billboard, virtual billboard, and there was an ad on it for a real company in the physical world. And that's when it hit us. That billboard ad is an NFT. And so that NFT can be minted and given, access can be given to some advertiser for like a set period of time. And when he finishes, it can be transferred to the new advertiser. So NFTs themselves can be minted as ads also. So there's like a lot of real world utility being tied to NFT projects now. And people have stopped buying into the whole hype of inherent value because they realize that that's not actually true. So yeah, that's how like the whole utility based NFT thing just came to be.
No, like I guess did you hear about this statement that Vitalik put out that tokens do not actually would like every company with a tokenization model might not have value that they would provide, something around that. I'm not sure
Yeah, yeah,
about the correct statement, but something around that, and I totally agree. Like just giving out, maybe let's say talk about NFT, just giving out NFTs which has a JPEG image, or let's say nowadays we have music NFTs as well, correct? So just giving out NFTs or any sort of token, okay, it does not provide any value, uh, only if it's monetary. That's what I see. Like if it's only monetary, okay, there is no value addition to it. There is
exactly.
a, like I'll say it's an economic addition to it, not a value addition to it. So
Yeah, yeah,
this is something what I came across recently. There are projects who like basically in have you heard about exchange, work exchange? So like you provide me, let's take for free stay, I'll do some exchange of work for you. So
yeah,
NFTs can be thought of in something like that sort of a model where we provide some sort of value in return to the community, to the people who are using it. Okay, just like let's say I need to enter someone's metaverse. Okay, and if I can have that NFT that can only let me in, that that tag, or that how should I say, that stamp. Okay, then it is a value because I am wanting to enter that particular metaverse to achieve something, to gain something out of it, right?
yeah,
So I guess somewhere around that the value thing also comes in, and I totally agree with what we have said, that maybe now there is a trend of change that is coming where now tokens are becoming more utilized, okay, like on a utility basis, or something which can add value. Because I guess, did you guys hear about the Squid Game NFT and all, the crypto? Yeah,
Yeah.
the whole
yeah,
$1 billion scam and everything. So yeah, see, if we do not provide value, there is definitely going to be these loopholes that people are going to use, to juice out the actual value out of it. But yeah,
True.
I guess it's already time that we discuss about today's event in proper, okay, how everything can be an NFT. And I know you guys have already prepared a proper presentation around it, so I'll give you guys the full stage around to basically explore, give us knowledge in detail about the whole structure that you've built around everything can be an NFT. Okay, Fabian, you can
Yeah.
start sharing your screen and let's go with that.
Yeah.
Fabian, you have the stage.
Yeah. Sure. So, like I told, I think I pretty much gave you all a quick intro about how NFTs came into existence and how it moved on from just being a hype driven commodity to a utility driven technology, right? And so we when I me and Daniel were working on preparing for this chat, we thought we'll be talking about what NFTs are and how the relevance and how this could be affecting further technology improvements. And then that's when we came up with this very uh, specific use a specific area where we can talk about NFT utilities and how everything can be NFTs, right? But if if you ask me if everything can be NFTs, this is more of a two-part question. A lot of people think that NFTs have this one fine definition on how it goes about, and this hype revolved around this idea of it's unique, and it's gonna be this fancy JPEG image that's gonna be on the blockchain, and that's it. Uh, so we wanted to talk about how else we can take this. I mean, how else this has changed into, and how else we can build on top of this piece of technology. Uh, Give me a second. Is my screen still on?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. It's totally on. You can totally go ahead.
Hello.
Um, can you hear me? Hello?
Um, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. I think there's a delay with my headphone.
No worries. I'm saying your screen's totally visible. You can go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Um, so like I told, the entire hype-driven market and all this high thing about NFT went about, and today I think we can actually talk about real life things that are happening right now in the world. So last month we happened to come across this one group of students in Harvard. These students, they built this very cool utility, and you got all these textbooks lying around in all these major education institutions, and a lot of the authors who wrote these books don't really get their credits, because a lot of times all these textbooks go to secondhand sales, and all these secondhand sales don't come into account for the author's revenue. And some of these students, they tokenize the entire concept of textbooks in at their university. So now when you have all these textbooks minted as NFTs, and you have this PDF access for, so let's say whenever you want to sell this textbook, you've got to transfer this NFT to a different person. And these fine gentlemen, they did something called the royalty standard. That's this new piece of yeah, Ethereum contract that's going about. It's called the ERC 2981. So we might be familiar about ERC 721, ERC 1155. These are different token standards. So these people, they use this standard that essentially allows you to have a sort of a royalty mechanism. So now when you bring in royalty to this entire NFT ecosystem, so now whenever I send this textbook to a different person, let's say I sell it to Daniel, and I Daniel's sale would go to the author's account, and now he decides to sell it to a secondary sale, or on a secondary sale, on a tertiary scale, and it can keep going on. All this revenue can be traced back to the original author, and this is something that a lot of people are monetizing on. And not just textbooks. You've got like Daniel was talking about the billboard, and this is something
Right.
that is very uh, you know growing in market. And we, as an analytics company, we've been looking at the entire uh, growth with all these NFT collections. So I think it's time we show them about how you know how we analyze the market, and where it's going about on right now.
Okay.
So uh, let me quickly show you this uh, a quick analytic graphs that we came across this morning. Danny, would you like to talk about this?
Yeah, sure. So one of the top collections that everybody talks about a lot is Bored Ape Yacht Club, right? And so if you look at if you go into the number of sales that happen over time, you go to all-time sales and you observe the graph, you can literally see what it was like during the hype market and what it's like now. It's relatively a flat line that's approaching zero, I would say. And you can even look at 24-hour volume, and it would give you the same thing. If you look at all-time volume and 24-hour volume, you would see like the sudden drop in trading volume, right? So we've been looking at not just this collection, but there's like CryptoPunks, there's Mutant Ape, there's like a whole bunch of collections that are all dropping in terms of their um, daily volume number of sales. And I think a lot of these collections are also being affected by what's known as wash trading. If for those of you who don't know what wash trading is, it's a practice wherein, for example, let's say I want to increase the value of an NFT that I hold. I can have two crypto wallets. I can sell it from one crypto wallet to another crypto wallet for a higher price. I can sell it back to myself to another wallet for like a slightly higher price, and then I can sell it to some random third person. So what I would have effectively done is increase the price a lot more than it would have if I just sold it to an actual other person. And a lot of people are doing this not with humans, but with like bots as well, right? And so a lot of these collections have wash traded transactions inside them. And so you can literally look at how the whole hype market has died down, and a lot of trades that are happening today in the bear market are actually wash trades. So these are like things that we've been observing with every top collection there is, and especially the OpenSea. Like it's very common for collections dropped on OpenSea to have a lot of wash trading going on in them. So yeah, like we've the market's basically been dying in terms of like its hype, and only the ones with utility are selling right now.
So actually, I have a say about this. So we think, even though all these hype markets have gone down, like Laksha was talking about this earlier, all these um, utility NFTs have been growing. And one other use case to this would be breaking people's conception about NFTs on a very rigid perception. And it's not just gonna be about non fungible tokens or any tokens per se. People have innovated a lot in terms of technology when it comes to all these tokens. So there's been recent innovations that brought about soulbound tokens, if you know about it. And there's been semi fungible tokens. So earlier, non fungible tokens used to be owned by a single account, and now let's take Recorum for example. Recorum has
Okay.
been giving out NFT certificates, and I think you guys will be have minting a new NFT certificate for every now and then. So if in case you want to have multiple owners for this one particular event's NFT, you can probably mint it as a semi fungible token. So innovations like this have brought about a lot of change when it comes to NFTs by themselves, and we think that uh, all these standards will be ever growing, and these things are going to be innovating themselves. And since we know that this entire ecosystem is about people and how decentralized it can be, and how the community has grown this entire ecosystem, we think that this still has a very long way to go, and it can take turns in unimaginable ways. And that's something that we've been talking about for a very long time now. So
So yeah,
yeah.
that's definitely there.
And yeah, am I audible?
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Please continue.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
is
yeah.
no topic. Yeah.
So yeah, so I think it's right about time that we conclude this. So if you ask me, everything could be an NFT. Yes, it can be made an NFT, but we will have to properly think about this before we take any decisions. That's what Vitalik
Okay.
would have also meant when he said tokenization is going on a different path than it could have gone into. And as this entire market is going to mature in the further days, we think the use cases for all these NFTs are going to be adopted by a lot of people, just like how the internet boom and the dot-com boom went up in a bubble. And now we have Amazon.com and every single storefront on the internet. This piece of technology is going to come out on everything, and on everything that we can think of, and we would be using NFTs without us knowing that we are using an NFT. So that's how this technology can venture into in the further days coming. So Danny, would you do you have any concluding words to what I have said?
I mean, it's really repetitive at this point, but yeah, I would still emphasize as a NFT collector, as a buyer or an investor, the best thing for you to do to help this market would be to not buy into the hype. There's going to be another, there's most probably going to be another bull market coming in soon, and when it does, you're still going to see a lot of hyped up collections like we did last year. I would say don't buy into them. Do your own research. There's analytics tools, there's tracking tools, there's discovery tools. NFTs are now also becoming mainstream, right? So you have profile pictures on Twitter and Reddit that are NFTs. So we're looking at real utility. So I would say stay away from the hype. Do your own research and start buying into projects that actually have value. Like Lakshay was saying, right? NFTs are not just about giving you, but giving you. They're not another form of currency that they have to give you back money. It's about selling an experience, right, through an NFT. So that's what it's come to. And so I would say just look out for good projects that add real value um, to your life. Yeah.
Okay. Um, that sounds pretty well. Like, are we done? Yeah. Like, is there anything more to the presentation?
No, Laksha, that should be about it.
Okay, so we can stop sharing screen now. Yeah, that
Yeah.
works. Just give us a moment. Right. Okay. I guess we're back to here, and okay, there is. Yeah. Okay. Um, Daniel, Fabian, can you guys hear me properly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of
Okay, awesome. So, see, this is what I understand from what you guys just, basically presented, that whatever we could basically make something, how should I say it, unique, make it something which is in a limited supply, something which adds value, okay, something which helps a person to basically get a task done, or basically get any some sort of effort provided, correct. In that sense, if we see it, basically then anything can be an NFT. Okay,
True.
like it can be a card, it can be an image, it can be a background music, it can be how should I say it, it can be videos, it can be anything that we want, correct. So yeah, that is where I feel very understanding of what you are trying to explain. But there is this one question which I had. How are you guys basically analyzing the analytics behind these NFTs or these tokens, all of these things? Okay, so basically I'd like to know what actually goes behind in the analysis, like what are we actually analyzing here, okay, in the terms of tokens. Okay, so if any one of you can go ahead.
Yeah,
Okay,
Daniel.
so yeah. So one of the things that before we even started building the product is that we started talking to NFT collectors and artists, and we asked them, so you have money and you're looking to invest, but how would you decide on how do you decide which tokens you want to invest in? For example, if it was something like say a car or a house, you would probably go on some site like I don't know Magic Bricks or Car Deco, and you would basically look up compare different cars. You would look at certain metrics, right? And so we said when it comes to NFTs, what are the metrics that are absolutely essential to you that you need to you know of in order to make that decision? And they all said, okay, financial metrics, definitely yes. I need to know what the trading volume is. I need to know what the market cap is, what the floor price is, whether I can afford it or not, stuff like that. The second dimension to this is the social metrics. For example, let's say there's a huge collection of say 10,000 items, and let's say there's no community behind it. Nobody knows about it. There has been no marketing. People don't even know
Okay.
it exists. How would you buy a token from that collection and expect it to be resold in a reasonable amount of time? You would have absolutely no liquidity, right? So people really want to know how big the community is, how engaged the community is, and what they feel about it. And so that's where we saw that a lot of platforms are lacking. They all give you financial metrics. They're like, oh, we pulled financial data from the blockchain. We can tell you what its last price was. But then we were like, okay, but can you tell us how big the Twitter community was, or how many people are interacting or engaging with it on a daily basis? They couldn't. And so that's when we really looked at it as one of the things that we could like go and innovate on. So even if you were to go on our platform, you would find a whole tab for each collection called the community tab, and you can look at every platform that is Google products, Reddit, Twitter, Discord. We show you the engagement as well as sentiment. So how are people feeling about it? All kinds of like community metrics. So that's a huge part. And the third would be rarity, of course. So we have a dedicated rarity view as well. And the
Okay.
thing about rarity is that rarity doesn't always necessarily sell. For example, if and the other problem with rarity is that there are different ways of valuing or arriving at rarity. So there was a famous case study done by I think NFT Go where they picked up the rarity tools rarity model and they applied it to I think the Bored Ape collection if I'm not mistaken, or I think it was the CryptoPunks, and they basically compared it and they arrived at rarity scores, right? And then what they did was they mathematically showed you that okay, these are the scores, and then they applied a different type of model to arrive at the rarity called the Jacquard index and the Jacquard distance model, and they realized that the rarity now differs, and so the rarity is not exactly the same, and they all change depending on how you mathematically arrive at it, and
Okay.
so it got really confusing, and each platform was using its own statistical model to arrive at rarity. And finally, a bunch of these platforms like IC-Toes, OpenSea, and a bunch of these guys came together and they said, okay, look, we're going to standardize it. We're going to create something called the Open Rarity Protocol, right? And they built a protocol just for computing rarity alone. And a lot of these top platforms are now deploying it, including OpenSea, I believe. And so we have a rarity dashboard as well for each collection. So you can look at not just the rarity, but also the rarity versus market cap versus the volume versus the flow price versus the number of sales. So you're not only looking at what the rarity of individual tokens are, but you're also looking at how much it's sold for or what the flow price was at the time that it sold for. So that way you know for a fact that high rarity doesn't necessarily mean huge volume in sales. It could also be like the total opposite. So that's another thing that we do as well. So we essentially talked to a bunch of people. We arrived at what factors they would have to like weigh in order to make that decision, and then we went after aggregating those factors. Some of these factors
So
don't exist. Yeah,
understanding the factors, like factors are basically the checkpoints you use to analyze metrics. Correct.
yeah,
So
yeah.
understanding that these are not metrics related to the value or the monetary value or anything like that. How do we measure user sentiment?
Okay, so one of the things we did was I'll give you the non-technical version and then Fabian can give the technical version. Non-technical
Okay.
version would be that we went after every single platform that is where NFTs are known, that is known for like a lot of NFT hype. And so, for example, if a collection like say Board Ape Yacht Club would launch, they would probably the first thing they do is make a Twitter and a Discord. And so we knew that the bulk of that engagement and sentiment data would be on Twitter or Discord. So we went in, we pulled all that data, and part two would be the technical part where Fabian you can talk about the algorithm probably. And
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So we
Yeah, like Fabian, before you start, I'm trying to just understand when we test user sentiment, it usually
mm-hmm.
involves how much the person is engaging with the community. Okay, let it be on anywhere, Twitter, Discord, Reddit, all of these factors, correct? Am
yeah,
I on the correct path?
Yeah,
so there's actually a
we are on
small
track.
yeah, there's a small difference when you say engagement. We're talking about how many times it's being liked or retweeted or shared, or how many posts are being
Okay.
made about it. Sentiment, on the other hand, would be are they feeling positive about it or negative about it? So you can have huge
Exactly.
engagement but horrible sentiment. So it's two
So
Right.
sides.
Right.
we actually do both of that. So we have something
Okay.
called community engagement and community sentiment in our platform. So engagement would be what Daniel was talking about, and your sentiment would be what people are tweeting about. You know what people are feeling about. This could be a positive sentiment about uh, the collection, or it can be a negative feedback about the collection. So we have this fancy sentiment analysis library that people love on various machine learning algorithms and all. So I'm not going to bore you with all of that, but so we have done an extensive work with our ML engineers on this, and this we had access. We've been scraping Reddit, we've been scraping Twitter, we've been scraping some of the Discord open channel publicly available data, and we applied all these sentiment aggregation and engagement aggregation on top of that. And so now you have all these breakdowns: Twitter engagement, Twitter sentiment, Reddit engagement, and all of these put together, you get this aggregate community score with a very fair efficiency of how you can analyze how the community of that particular collection is performing out there. So now this would be a fair
Okay.
metric if you want to compare it with the volume at the same time. So we've also put together this engagement versus volume chart, and now whenever the community peaks, you'd be able to find a difference with. I mean, it's not going to be significant, but still, that yeah. Am I audible?
Yeah, yeah, no worries. I guess there's a internet glitch. No worries, we can continue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like I was saying, this extensive comparison of how the community is performing and how the sales data is also growing along with it gives you an overall picture of how this entire ecosystem is, you know it's like a dance, if you ask me. And I think we covered what you were asking.
Right, right. No, definitely. See, this is what I am trying to understand. Like, basically, uh, Blitzcraft is basically a product through which we can
Hmm.
basically analyze each and every aspect of anything that's related to the blockchain. Should I keep it that way?
For
Yeah,
now it's NFTs, but we the name change was because we're going to be rolling out anything related to the blockchain. So that's an ongoing
Exactly.
endeavor, but at this point
Agreed.
it's just NFTs.
Yeah, even if it's still NFT as of now, I guess there are two major utilities as of now in the blockchain. Whole revolution thing. It's basically kind of cryptocurrencies and NFTs only as of now, which I see. There have been, for like various step aheads in different industries like medical, military and XYZ, but they're also somewhere or the other based out of this only. Okay. But yes, like to what I understand, let me ask you this question. Is it possible that we can test or analyze what you are saying for a Web2 project as well on your platform? Is that also possible?
Yeah, so our product itself is primarily a Web2 product actually because our sources are the blockchain, our Web3 sources, but we pull all the data and we compute it and we display it in the Web2 in a Web2 format is what we do. So
So
it
it's
can also
basically hybrid. It's running parallelly.
that's something
yeah
called the Web 2.5. So we are somewhere
Yeah,
in the middle of them.
agreed.
yeah
Correct.
but,
Okay.
yeah. But coming back to your question, yeah, if a project were to be launched, let's say not even on the blockchain, but as a Web2 product as well, it'll work. But there are tools that already do that really well. So there's
No, no,
no
no worries. Like, see, I was
yeah
trying to understand the community aspect, the engagement aspect, the user sentiment aspect, because these things are more on the Web2 side, okay? Because I haven't heard of a very major, social network in Web3, correct? There are various, okay, like Odyssey is there, there are others as well. Patreon is there, but maybe not at such a level that that current products are there, correct? So to understand user sentiment as well, we'll have to take that a Web2 version out of it as well, right? So yeah, that was my question around. But don't you worry, guys. We have prepared some questions for you already. Okay, so we'll be having some questions that we have prepared for you, and I
Hmm.
supposedly think we have at least two questions from the YouTube community as well. Okay, so before we go to the YouTube community, let's have our first question of the day. What do we have here? Okay, what are the next phases for the NFT industry? It started with art. Now we are slowly diving into music. So what's next? Or like, what do you think it's next?
Yeah, Dan, you wanna answer this?
Okay, so one of my favorite entrepreneurs, Justin Khan, the dude who co-founded Twitch. He's big when it comes to crypto and NFT right now. He even launched Fractal.is. It's a NFT marketplace specifically for gaming. And even before he did that, we were we were looking at where NFTs are moving towards and which market or which part of the market we have to tap into in order to make our product even sell. And one of the things that we arrived at was gaming and metaverse. These are like going to blow up. To give you a real life example,
Okay.
take Call of Duty. Call of Duty has a lot of in-game assets, right? Skins, guns, clothes, all kinds of stuff. These things can
Mhm.
be fake. They can be basically a dude who knows how to mod the game can make can remake a popular skin for himself, right? We see this happen even on GTA or GTA 5 Online, right? A lot of these games.
Okay.
And the advantage with doing these in-game assets as NFTs instead is that you know that when something is fake, it's fake because you can go back to the blockchain and check the provenance of it or see who's owned it or if it's really like,
Right.
this person's or not. And when people like trade in-game assets on, say, a marketplace, doing it as an NFT would give you like absolute surety that you're investing in the right assets. So gaming is one place where we see it like booming. The metaverse, of course, a lot of things in the metaverse. For example, people are building houses in the metaverse. They're owning property in the metaverse. They own land. They own cars. They own all kinds of assets in the metaverse. And each block in the metaverse is they're trying to sort of make it cryptographically unique so there's actual value in it. So if I were to just walk into, say, Decentraland and buy 10 pieces of land that were all identical, they would probably not have the same value, right? And if we can go in and buy the same 10 pieces and we can virtually own the same piece of land, it wouldn't make sense, right? So I feel like a
Okay.
lot of these metaverse assets are also becoming sort of tokenized. So that way it's unique and it's non-fungible. So these are two areas where I see the NFT industry moving towards long term.
Okay. Okay. That sounds well. Fabian, would you want to add something to that?
Yeah, adding on top of that, I mean, like it's already there. I'd say we've started moving on from just hype to music NFTs, and now last a few months back that there was this conference in Goa. I think a lot of Web3 hypesters would have gone there, and Web3 Conf, right, Daniel?
I think it was a trick
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. So the tickets to all to the entire conference were all minted on as NFTs,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we so
Ticket.io.
ticket.io,
Yeah, tickets. Yeah,
and this is
Yeah.
one fine example of how it's actually actually out there. So we've been talking about all this utility, and it's actually out there, and people are actually using it. So I think it's gonna the adoption is gonna be slow, but pretty soon this is gonna be everywhere, and we might not even know that we own an NFT. But that's how people are gonna
Like
get.
we have co-apps right now. If we like classrooms can have it. Like if you attend one
Sure.
class, you can get an NFT.
yeah.
Education system
Exactly.
can be changed totally, right? So yeah, that's
Exactly.
definitely there. Good work with that. Like I guess we have somewhere around recently answered this
Mm.
question. Um, I'll just add something which I have seen recently. Okay, people are also trying to put documentation like file system. Okay, like this is what I have heard. There is a country. I'm not recalling the name properly, but they're trying to put all their files online on the blockchain, so that it doesn't basically get how should I say it? Like if we have it on the current servers, if one
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
server goes down, all of them goes down. When we have it on the blockchain, maybe even if one goes down, it's still on the blockchain. It doesn't go down, right? Like 1 point factor system. There's something called like that. Correct?
Actually, one of my earlier projects actually involved this. So,
Okay.
in one of my earlier hackathon projects, I happened to build this NFT utility where you mint all these KYC documents. You have Aadhaar card, you have
Correct.
all these different financial documents, that birth certificates, and all of these can be minted as NFTs. Now you got instant proof of ownership. Now you own your Aadhaar
Right.
card. So that's that KYC. That's a perfect example of how NFT utilities can go.
Correct. Correct. No, totally agreed. I guess we have discussed the file systems. We've discussed land. We have discussed games. So I guess this question answers all. Let's move ahead to the next question of the day. Okay, what are soulbound tokens and use case of
Hmm.
soulbound NFTs? So I guess while you were presenting as well, you mentioned about soulbound tokens, correct?
Yeah,
Let's have a stark understanding on what is soulbound tokens and maybe the use cases as well. So
yeah,
Fabian, would
sure.
you like to go ahead?
Yeah, sure, sure. So
Yeah.
soulbound NFTs, this I think a lot of people in the Solana ecosystem actually were really hyped up about the soulbound tokens, and uh, to define what soulbound tokens are, it's pretty simple. These are NFTs that are bound to your accounts, bound to your wallet address. So soul bound, you're bound to it. So these are so in any NFT contract, smart contract, people have methods written to it, basically functions that you can call to perform certain action. And in one of these functions, you have something called a transfer function. That function enables you to send your token from one person to a different person.
Make it
Pretty
tradable
simple.
basically.
Make it tradable basically.
Okay.
In soulbound tokens, this is not possible. Now you won't be, if I mint a particular token to your account, Lakshaya's account, Lakshya
Okay.
won't be able to send this token to anybody. It's bound to your account. Maybe some of
Okay.
these generic soulbound tokens have a delete feature. I mean, you can actually just burn one of these NFTs, but once it's minted to your account, it's minted, it's soulbound.
It's like a one-time thing.
It's like a one-time thing. One
Okay.
famous, I mean, like one pretty neat utility to this would be your birth certificate. You're born, uh, you mint a birth certificate to your account. That's it. Like
See,
that's
I
like
don't think that's what the first thing a child would do, but definitely that's a very big use case, that you have
yeah.
put out. But like it's very good for like I feel understanding population metrics of a
Hmm.
country as well, because a
Yeah.
child is born, update him on the blockchain. That's the first thing that the parent should do. But yeah, agreed. That's definitely good. Any other use cases you think are there?
for other soulbound, a few.
Degree
I mean, in one
certificate.
of the, yeah, the certificates, yeah, even your Recorum certificates can be soulbound, so that people don't really, go and say that I've attended this event without
Right.
attending it, right? Like it can be bound to their accounts. So that's one pretty
Correct.
neat example, also.
Oh yeah, I guess I've heard this. Like I guess how Soulbound came into place was because people were using basically um, buying NFT, like basically minting NFTs from one project, and then trading it with other cryptocurrencies or other projects in a different exchange. And like I'm not aware if this is the correct story behind this or not, but this is what I feel. To stop this exchange, because this would definitely decrease the value of the particular token. Correct, if you exchange it to a different basically token on a different exchange, right? So that is where I feel soulbound tokens can be helpful to, how should I say it, to holding your to hold retention in your community. Correct,
Hmm.
so that you're a part of it and you have this membership card basically of it, and you can just have it. Yeah, okay, I guess that's one.
Yeah.
Correct.
Soulbound tokens can also be really useful in DAOs, your decentralized autonomous organizations. And I think in a lot of these governance institutions, when they become a DAOs by themselves in the future, all these
Okay.
soulbound tokens would probably be really useful for them to be part of the network, and be part of the organization, and keep contributing to it. So maybe they cannot trade off all these tokens that, like you were talking about earlier.
Correct, correct. That perfectly. I guess we have somewhere, like I myself was not fully aware of soulbound tokens, so definitely, thanks to you, Fabian, to making me understand also. Daniel, do you have something to add to soulbound tokens?
Yeah, like I was saying, right, degree certificates, internship certificates, you go to a job, you try to fake experience. LinkedIn especially does this, right? So on LinkedIn, anybody can be the CEO of Apple, and there's no real check as to whether or
Oh
not you
yeah,
are. Yeah,
correct.
so if they were to bring NFTs into like say places like LinkedIn, where you can actually verify
Right.
if you've worked someplace or studied at some place that can't be transferred, that would be like a huge. It would take out a
This
lot of
this comes
hassle.
to the self sovereign identity token as well.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Am I audible?
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
you're
comes. I
audible.
guess this comes around the self sovereign identity token as well. Correct.
Yeah, yeah, it does.
Okay, okay. I guess I like somewhere I have also understood what is soulbound tokens. Okay, and I guess we have given some good use cases of around this as well. Why don't we move ahead to the next community question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, okay. See, until the next question comes on board. Okay, have you guys came across any like a project, any NFT project, which has tried building something which is way much more different than what everyone is currently building?
That's quite a lot, actually.
Something which
I
amuses you, something like anyone, and then we can go ahead to the next question.
Yeah, yeah. One thing that blew my mind was when we saw Ticket.io. This was personally for my own idea about this. And back, I think I came across them last year. Like they've been almost for a year, right, Danny?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So yeah, actually, that use case is might be a simple use case, but this is something that will pull in a lot of people into this NFT world. And movie tickets, conference tickets. People like to buy tickets. People like to show off their tickets everywhere. So this thing sort of blew
Oh,
my mind
I've
because
heard this, in US and all, ballet tickets
Mhm.
and all of these are very famous.
Yeah,
Opera
sure,
tickets, correct?
exactly, exactly. So this is gonna help in NFT adoption in a very larger scale, and
Large
that's
scale,
sort of
correct.
I'd like to see that happen. And yeah, Danny, you have uh, a preference.
Okay.
Not exactly. No.
Any,
no.
anything you would want to add, Daniel, to that?
I actually got distracted looking at the next question because this was something that I think NFT had had a specific session on that and I was one of the speakers, so I was literally thinking back to digital NFTs. I just saw it on the screen. I got a little distracted, but Uh,
No, we will come to that question as well. We'll come to
okay.
that. But
Um,
any one NFT that has amused you in the recent times?
I think I would pick Mutant Ape because Mutant Ape again. If I'm not mistaken, people who own a Bored Ape can also get a free Mutant Ape if I'm not mistaken, and
Okay.
the people who created Bored Ape basically airdrop give out airdrops to people who already own Bored Ape Yacht Club. So owning a Bored Ape Yacht Club is sort of like your license to get free NFTs from the creators over like an infinite period of time. So
Board Yakla, I somewhere feel has become the OG here in all NFT. Somewhere I feel
yeah.
because as much as I understand, it is run by a group of basically whales or billionaires out there, or what we call as crypto millionaires. So yeah, so like I totally agree to you on that. But I somewhere feel Daniel is very much focused towards the question related to physical NFTs. Okay, and let's talk about that. So there is something new called as physical NFTs. Okay, what do you think about that?
Digital NFTs themselves, I'll give you a real life example so it'll be so much more easier. You have
Okay,
objects in the real world. For example, take the example of a shopping mall. I think a lot of women will be able to relate to this more than men. So you walk into, say, a clothing store and you see a great shirt or a great top. You want to know what matches this top. I don't know what pair of jeans, what shoes or what footwear, and what accessories like a handbag or sunglasses would match it. Each of these items in the shop in their inventory can be an NFT. So that way, what happens is when you walk in and you pick up, say, any piece of clothing, that clothing is tied to an NFT in the digital world. And if you want to look at matching pairs of the entire collection, all those NFTs pop up as a collection. So you can also buy the entire NFT collection, and that automatically give you access to like the entire physical pieces of clothing in the store. So digital
okay,
NFTs are basically NFTs that have a physical pair in the real world. So it's like a digital pair and a physical entity, like the
wow.
digital entity and physical entity together. They're like digital NFTs. So
Okay,
that's what
I
that is.
didn't see that coming. Although I know what is physical and digital, I didn't see that coming. That physical digital make it one, but definitely this sounds pretty amazing. I guess this can work across the apparel industry. Okay, fashion, apparel, accessories, all of that. Where I am not sure if you have seen or this or not. There are brands who take this out. Like there is this collection of, let's take one type of clothing. Correct. Like this is the, let's take, just talking about a man. Okay, this is the t-shirt. This is the jeans. This is the shoes. This is the accessories you need to wear. This is the watch you need to wear. So basically, if for what from what I understand, let's say you buy that NFT, you get access to all of these things. Correct.
Uh, that's token gating per se. But what I actually
Okay.
meant was that physical item, for every physical entity that you have in the real world, a replica of it exists in the digital
Okay.
world. For example, say metaverse. So, for example, if let's say I have a watch in the real world, that watch can also exist
Right.
as a digital entity on the metaverse. And the
Correct.
state of both the physical and the virtual thing would be in sync. So, if the watch in real life breaks,
Correct.
the digital version would also show up as broken in the metaverse. So you sort of have like a clone. This I think would be more helpful when it comes to when probably Facebook releases a full-fledged metaverse like Horizon World when it goes mainstream. I think this would
Correct.
especially be helpful.
Okay, okay. I guess this sounds pretty simple. But Fabian, would you like to say something about the technology behind this, or something you might know you would want to add
Yeah, yeah,
as value to this
yeah, sure.
particular question?
Yeah, yeah. So that's something called oracles in blockchains, and this oracles are basically in pretty simple terms. These connect your web 2 world and your web 3 world. Web 2 world being your regular e-commerce sites and all your current commerce ecosystems that are available on the internet. And I think these oracles will play a major role when it comes to digital NFTs. Whenever people buy stuff on Amazon or stuff on Flipkart, so this is gonna directly affect your NFT that's there on the chain, and this on-chain and off-chain integrations will have a very wider use case when it comes to when phygital NFTs come into play. So I think tech, as when we talk about technology, oracles are going to be the major hit when it comes to phygital NFTs here.
Okay. I guess there is more technology behind it that I don't think we can like we should discuss because it's getting more technical there. Okay, maybe we can discuss
Yeah,
it
yeah,
in another session that we might have later.
sure.
Okay, we can have it totally technical base, but I guess we already have the next question on the screen. Okay, is it legal if the NFT provides a return on investment to the buyer?
It, we don't actually get the question. So can you repeat?
I'll just can we have the first
Mhm.
YouTube question on the screen? I'll just like let's bring it back. I guess there's an internet glitch, but let's just hold on for a second.
I see the question actually, but just to like, so correct me if I'm wrong, but what you're basically asking is if I were to create an NFT, and or let's say if I were to buy an NFT and then sell it to somebody else, and if I say make a profit off of it, is it illegal?
Yeah,
Is that the
I
question?
it says that. Yeah, I guess it says that.
So a lot of governments, including I think the Indian government, is starting to treat crypto assets. I think this would include NFTs as well. They start treating this as a regular a form of security. So in case I were to make an NFT trade and make a profit off of it, I would have to pay capital gains tax on top of it. So it would be
Thirty
taxed just
percent
like
is there currently in
yeah,
India. Yeah.
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 So I don't think it's illegal unless you're not paying your taxes, which so yeah, I don't think it's illegal. It's a completely safe form of security. So.
Okay. Okay. I think like I it the question more focuses on regularization of NFTs as an asset. Okay, maybe. Do you think there is a possible way to regulate NFTs as an asset class or alternate asset class?
I would say the whole point of NFTs and crypto coming into existence is that we're trying to get away from government regulation with asset classes like these. And the minute it gets regulated, it's the same as fiat, right? So there's no point in decentralization when there's like centralized control. But I also think that there should be um, a couple of decentralized authorities that collectively agree on a standard. So that way we can always make sure that different NFTs developed by different people or different pieces of technology in the Web3 space developed by different players are all interoperable. So that way we
Right.
don't lose interoperability. But uh, I do think it can be regulated, but not by a centralized authority is what I would say.
I would have definitely asked your question that is decentralization possible, but I'm actually against it. Okay, somewhere that I certainly somewhere don't think decentralization is the solution. Okay, because it cannot run that way. Okay, like I'm just giving you a simple example. If everyone in the world was given a chance to just do whatever they want in the way they want to do it, we might have not even made progress until now. Correct. If you see let's take, just giving a simple example, this is out of nowhere. If let's take the person who was responsible for building the Egyptian pyramid, okay, if he didn't give the correct directions to the his team, the workers, or whoever might they be, we wouldn't have a pyramid. Correct, we would have something scattered around because everyone would have made something of their own. Correct. And that is where this is what I understand, and this is what I take, that decentralization, okay, it can be made to put across decisions, put across let's take policies. Okay, but I don't think that's a solution to the whole current like I don't think the world is ready for decentralization. That's what I see. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
what do you guys think?
I think it can be a solution to some things, but not everything.
Exactly,
Yeah.
that's my agreement too. Yeah. What
Uh,
about you, Daniel?
So the way I see it is that I don't think decentralization. A lot of people say that so Web3 is going to replace Web2 or decentralization is the future and it's going to make web centralization obsolete. I don't think that's even a sustainable model or even realistic in the first place. Like you said, I share the same opinion with you. I don't think everything can be centralized. I mean, everything can be decentralized. I do think that there needs to be some form of authority with certain systems. So I would say that the real power of Web3 can be unlocked only in conjunction with Web2. So both systems
Correct.
like coexist and they co-depend on each other, and that's the only way I see both growing. Because to be fair, Web3 wouldn't even be a thing if the internet wasn't a thing, and
Yeah,
Web2 systems that exist, right? So it's all running on centralized solutions right now.
right.
So
So yeah, that's I think that's what Jack Dorsey meant when he was talking about Web 2 and Web 3 together. We
Right.
have Web 5.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
so
I
we are moving
actually,
towards that.
that's the thing. Correct. No, but like that is what I agree to as well. In certain context, it's totally true that not everything. This is what I have seen in people. People don't understand what is decentralization. They think it's a technical thing. It's something which is out of the blockchain. It's something happens, but they don't understand. It's an ideology. It's a belief. It's a concept which we want. Okay, like who doesn't want to be free? Okay, who wants to be
exactly.
limited by rules? Okay, so it's a ideology which people cater to or want to become or achieve, but it's not something which might give the person direction. Okay, but okay, I guess we have answered this particularly well, and we have also discussed so many things after that. Let's move ahead to the next question. Okay, can you guys view the next question? I guess there's a pretty good amount of internet glitch from all over the country. You guys are facing it. We guys are facing it. Yashika might be facing it in the back end. Okay. Um, just wait for a moment. Okay. Yeah. Do artists have any sort of copyright over stolen art that has been converted to NFT?
So one of the things that I've heard, I can't recall the name, but there was an artist who basically said that if you have a piece of art, and if you turn that into an NFT, either the NFT can exist or the actual physical art can exist, but not both at the same time, because one becomes the other. So I would say if a piece of art has been converted into an NFT, the physical piece shouldn't exist, and naturally I would argue ethically that the NFT should belong to the original artist. But that being stolen, yeah, I think a lot of governments are starting to recognize NFTs as an asset class of their own. So I think the government of Singapore made property deed based NFTs a legitimate asset to be. Uh, it's admissible in court basically. So a lot of other. I definitely think that um, the original artist should have copyright claims over stolen art as an NFT.
Okay. Okay. See, did you
Again,
guys hear about this recently that came in, where there is this one artist who was at a expo, basically a art expo, and the art was available physically as well, but people could also mint it as an NFT. And during the session, when he saw people that they were buying the NFT and not his art, basically the physical form, he burned down everything or just threw it in trash.
That's the same
Right?
person I was talking about. I can't recall his name.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
did not recall the name. I just knew the story. So, okay. I guess definitely, the copyright should be there. But somewhere I have been in the art industry. Like I myself do art. I'm a sketch artist. So I somewhere feel that having that physical entity is definitely necessary because it gives that I don't know how to say it. It gives that feeling of touch or something is there. Maybe that NFT might not be able to give it. Okay, but yeah, I don't think they can, like we discussed. It can be codependently existing or coexisting things, but it cannot be something we can directly change to. Correct. But yeah,
yeah.
Fabian, you were saying something.
yeah, so we happened to meet with one of the artists when we were doing research for our analytics platform, and his name was Salman actually, and he was working on his own NFT artwork, and like Danny was talking about copyrights, and some this is totally dependent on a few artists themselves. Some of them they want to give the copyrights to the person who's buying the NFT. So again,
Okay.
some of these smart contracts that they write into NFTs, these NFTs they actually give you copyright access to the NFTs. It's again depends on what the artist intended to, and maybe this copyright could be, for example, let's say you have NBA players minted as NFTs. If you want to use the image of one of these NBA players in one of your let's say your bag, your merchandise, or any of your branding, you could probably use this copyright mechanism to give recognition to the person who's owning it, and probably the creator itself himself. Maybe this is what
Okay.
we were talking about when we were in discussions with the artist, and this suddenly popped in my head. Yeah.
No, no, definitely that's a good, very valid point as well. And like we discussed in a very, I guess we all three of us had the similar point of views in some context. I'll say, okay, because see, somewhere I feel art is something which is very close to someone. Okay, it is a feeling of expressing things in a way. Okay, let it be music, art, dance, or any sort of that kind. Okay, so definitely, I am in total agreement that the original person or the maker of it should have the copyright to it, and maybe he owns it, and the other people can basically have a share of it, or in some sort they can have an intrinsic value to it, not like they are explicitly owning it. Correct. So yeah, that's there. But we have the last question for today. Okay, from the YouTube community, and that's from Subiksha. Okay, so let's have that. Okay. I guess again we have that internet glitch, but no worries. Let's just hold for a second. Okay. Isn't it a problem that minting NFT is so expensive for small digital artists? Um, Fabian, would you like to go ahead with this? I
Yeah,
guess
sure.
this involves something around gas fees and everything on platforms and all. But yeah, let's go ahead with that.
A very common problem that everybody is facing in all these blockchain ecosystems would be paying gas fees. And
Right.
to let you all know what gas fees are, all this entire network is made up of all these different nodes that constantly fight with each other to validate on whether these transactions are valid or not, and whether a person owns something or not, basically proving the consensus mechanism. And all of this is powered by rewarding and incentivizing the entire platform on how people are actually validating it using one of their computational resources like their CPUs and GPUs and things like that. And this has been to enable all of this ecosystem. You need something like this gas fees that can be used to reward the miners, the validators, and in any blockchain ecosystem. And this is in talking with context to Ethereum chain. uh, for a very long time it was really costly, and people, only people who actually had money were able to mint NFTs, not small digital artists who really wanted to go out there and do something. And I think this problem was efficiently solved by one of the scaling solutions that came into existence. We all know what that is, Polygon, right? And a lot of other scaling solutions like Starknet, these scaling solutions, these are like another layer of blockchain that's built on top of
The
Ethereum
main net.
to, yeah, the main net, to maybe efficiently write these transactions into it, maybe bundling it, rolling it up together, and writing it in batches. And this enabled the entire ecosystem to all these scaling solutions to have a lesser gas fee than earlier. It used to be 1,000. I mean, it went beyond $100, and it went on. But now we are able to pay gas fees in like 60 rupees and 70 rupees and all. Like it's very cheap. And then in even OpenSea, they incorporated a system that charges you zero gas fees on minting your
Zero
NFTs.
gas fees. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
zero gas fees. And there are other blockchains that has literally like zero gas fees from its core. And I think this problem is currently solving this gas fees problem, and minting being expensive for all these small digital artists. Uh, I think that sort of answers your question, Savisha.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It totally does. Daniel, do you have anything to add to what Fabian already said?
I think you pretty much covered it, but I would say for art, I'm seeing a lot of people go prefer Solana because of the low gas fee. But I also think that I definitely think that over the years, gas fees are something that's going to come down. Recently made the switch, right, from proof of work to proof of stake. And so I think a
Okay.
lot of these blockchain solutions don't just depend on proof of stake or proof of work anymore, but they're moving to other models like proof of elapsed time history and a bunch of other models, right, of consensus that are cheaper. So I do believe that in a couple of years, it can't tell when, but I definitely think sometime in the future there's going to be consensus mechanisms that are going to be as cheap as, say, the transaction fee on UPI, right? And so that's definitely going to happen
Yeah.
in a bit, and that'll probably help small time artists to actually profitably sell their artwork.
No, I guess somewhere India is doing perfectly. Like I don't like India is doing very well in the fintech space with the UPCI
Yeah,
coming, like the UPI coming in, the ONDC coming in. Correct. I saw like and I guess the government of India has already started testing the digital e-coin from yesterday itself. Correct. So
yeah,
certainly think if things like if the government plays the correct cards, okay, certainly we might be able to have transactions even free, or as easily as we do currently, like UPI transactions. Correct. We can have it
yeah.
that way. But yeah, this perfectly adds up well. So what do you guys think, Fabian, Daniel? We are almost at the end of today's session. Okay. From the beginning we started, we discussed about what you guys do, how you guys have been in the whole industry, working towards making things more possible for other teams, other companies as well. Okay. And then we spoke about what Blitzcraft is doing, how you guys are basically helping companies understand their analytics metrics, all of that. We had your presentation, a few good questions. We discussed about NFT trading, board API club, decentralization, copywriting, everything. So in a wholesome, certainly I feel there were points where I definitely had a good learning curve. Okay. Where I also understood there are points that I need to keep in check when next time I should approach buying a NFT or something. But what do you guys think? Like, how was the session for you? Okay, let's go with Fabian first.
I think we came here with a different thought of you know covering a few topics in mind, but the audience that we had, they sort of took us in a journey of like covering a lot of different aspects when it comes to this,
Correct.
and it was a good session, and I had fun, talking with
Okay.
this chat.
You see, this
It was a
this is
good
my
experience.
game. I take the person through a journey where they remember this at a level that they won't forget it for like at least a month. Okay. So I hope Fabian that was a journey that you went through. Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
okay. And Daniel, what about you?
I,
How's it
I,
going for you?
I would say the same because every other session like Rekoram that I've been to, they would give you the questions up front, and so you know what you're getting into. So it's more like it's sort of animated and rehearsed. Whereas I came here, I assumed we would have a structure, and then it turned into a literal fireside chat sort of thing. So I think it was great.
Exactly.
I loved the whole. We talked about a lot of things. It wasn't very non-technical. It wasn't very technical. I think it was
Mix
perfect
of
for
both.
like yeah. It was a mix of both. So I think this was like a good session.
See, this is what I understood. Like, this is almost my 15th or 16th event that I'm hosting. Okay, and this is what I have understood. If you literally go very professional, it gets boring. It gets very boring. Okay, so you
Yeah,
have to keep that fun part. You have to keep that fireside chat part involving around understanding what the speaker also can speak about more. If I only give you this topic, talk about NFTs, you might have a limited knowledge. You might have like something which is already there in the industry. Okay. But if I talk to you about various other things, talking about your opinion on various things, how this goes, how do you understand this, that's where we understand what the speaker actually can bring to the table. Correct. And that's when the conversations are made. And that's why I what I have tried to do whenever we like when I'm hosting, okay, usually, okay, I've tried to keep it in a more podcast plus a masterclass manner. So it's basically we have the learning curve from the presentation plus the fireside chat, which makes people keep it a little friendly and fun loving. So yeah, that's there. Anything you guys want to add? Any closing statements? What do you feel about what how we're doing for the community? Like currently, I'll tell you at Recurum, we're helping Web3 companies basically hire talent and all. What do you think about the industry? Because see, it's a new industry, correct? So getting the skill talent is definitely a scarcity over there. How do you think like what is your opinion on that? Any one of you can go ahead. Let's go with Fabian.
from
Let's go with Fabian. Let's go.
yeah. So for the first time when you walked me through your product and how you guys function, um, I think this model is actually a really good model because we have actually done it. We sort of did it with one of our earlier communities, and I think that's community talent. Getting the right talent is very easy when it comes to communities, and this is like a very overlooked space that nobody's actually looking into. And I think you guys have done a pretty good job in finding the right space and finding the right niche, to target talent from here and pulling them towards the right organizations where they can fit well. And when
Okay.
it comes to organizations themselves like us, if we want to hire talent, we actually go out to meetups. That's where we met a lot of
That's pretty
our
much the thing.
engineers.
Correct.
And platforms like this are gonna turn out pretty well and very beneficial for us as employers also. Yeah.
Correct. Correct. What do you say, Dan? Like, do you have something to add to it, or
Yeah, I mean the same, right? We go to Web3 meetups, and it's always the same. It's the same bunch of people turning up for every meetup. It's just us telling everybody what we build, and them telling us what they build, and then the next meetup is again the same thing all over again, different venue, but it's pretty much the same thing. And I one of the things that we were really talking about is that okay, as a Web3 company, it's great to build product, it's great to solve a problem, but it's also important that we educate everyday users as to what the
right?
space can do for you, right? And I think that's something that companies like Record have like really done really well. It takes a lot of effort organizing events like this and having people come watch it and structuring it, and it's a lot of work. I get it, and I would say you guys have like done a very neat job in terms of educating the audience. So
Thanks so much, Daniel and Fabian. I guess you have had a wholesome experience today in discussing NFTs, blockchain, decentralization, everything. Any last words, any thoughts that you would want to lead the community with, or basically end your closing statements with? Anything that you have learned or amuses you, or something that you hold on to while working in your company? Anything? Daniel, would you want to go ahead first?
one of the things it's very easy getting burnt out because you're building in a space that has very minimal traction compared to say let's say I built let's say Instagram didn't exist but I built Instagram, everybody's using it, all of a sudden there's huge hype. Well, compared to that, when you're building in the Web3 space with the minimal number of users that you can cater to, it's easy to get burnt out really quick. But one of the ways we've kept each other going, like constantly since the time we started doing this, is telling ourselves that look, 20 years ago, when the internet was just starting to become a thing, there were people like us who believed in it and who worked on it, even though everybody else thought it was a joke or it was a bubble, right? And we all
Correct.
know what happened, how that turned out. So we tell ourselves, okay, this is the next big thing. There's very few people who believe it, but we just gotta have skin in the game, just keep doing the stuff that we're doing, and eventually it'll work out. Um, so yeah,
Okay, okay,
Exactly.
that's a very 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 encouraging thought, I'll say, because that's what basically gives developers, I'll say, because I somewhere I feel blockchain is a community of developers mostly, people who
yeah,
are into tech, correct? Because they only understand the tech as well as the industry. So yeah, it's a very motivational ending statement. Fabian, what about you?
I think I share the same opinion about uh, being motivated in the space. Danny, we used to talk a lot about this, and this is something that we say it to each other to keep ourselves going. So I'm gonna say that to the audience as well. Hashtag we are gonna make it. Yeah,
Definitely, we will definitely. That's definitely there. Wagmi is like these lingos that have come into the whole blockchain space. It's mostly like a we're on street side discussing skateboards, correct?
yeah,
But yes, definitely these are some things which is which relates to people like who are wanting to build, correct? So
exactly.
definitely Fabian, Daniel, just wait back in the back end. We'll be tuning back again after my closing statement, and just give me a moment. Okay, thank you for
yeah.
coming today, and
Thank
I
you.
really acknowledge the way you guys have put through the whole event, and thanks for coming.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Yeah. Um, just a moment. Yes. Okay. I hope everyone can hear me and view me properly. Okay. Um, so we are almost at the end of the session. Okay. And let's start. So thank you, Daniel and Fabian, for joining us today at Recurum's 19th event for talking about everything can be an NFT in the series deeping dive into Web3. And that is where I feel today's event where was pretty much very informative, interactive, fun, descriptive, full of analytics. Okay, and I'm sure that each and every one of you would have had a small piece of knowledge or learning curve to take back home. Okay, and before we wrap up for today, I'd just like to remind all of you guys that we have had a bunch of a good bunch of companies who are hiring today at this particular event. So if you're streaming this online from anywhere across YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, or even our website, okay, just log on to the Recorum app, connect your wallet, and get a chance to apply to these companies who are hiring at this particular event. You also have a chance to um, claim NFTs, POAP NFTs, that is proof of attendance protocol, NFTs for attending these events, and get a chance to become our early adopters, as well as you know. Basically keep a memory from today. With that, I hope everyone had a smooth and pleasant experience. And today at Recorum, we put a heartfelt gratitude towards what the team of Blitzcraft is building, as well as to what Daniel and Fabian are doing with their community and with NFTs. With that, um, I am Laksh Mittal. Okay, I had a very great experience today, a very great learning curve, understanding various things about NFTs, and that is where I take leave here. I'm Laksh Mittal. Thank you, and signing off.